Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Monday, June the 25th. Well, the Republican Party seems to be nervous about Clarke Tucker, the Democrat who's an announced candidate for 2nd District Congress against Republican French Hill. Over the weekend, people reported receiving mailers paid for by Senator Tom Cotton's PAC, which described Tucker as essentially a support of brown-looking people who are criminals and have come to the country illegally, and a supporter of Nancy Pelosi. Neither of those things are true. We're going to see a lot more of this. This is still 5 months before the election. It's pretty hard-hitting stuff. It suggests some panic in their party. Bad news out of the United States Supreme Court today. For one thing, they sent back to Washington a case in which a florist had been found in violation of a state anti-discrimination law by refusing to make an arrangement for a gay couple. They want a further review of the case. They didn't really review on the central issue, but it's still a bad harbinger for people who believe in equal rights for gay people. Also, some bad rulings in 2 cases of gerrymandering of legislative districts in favor of gerrymandering for racial reasons. That's good for Republicans, again, bad for the democracy. The city of Little Rock today unveiled a Wi-Fi kiosk downtown at Main Street in Markham. This is described as a great cutting-edge thing. It's really an overgrown cell phone and electronic billboard, if you will. And the bottom line is the city sold a franchise to a company, a multi-billion-dollar energy company in Charlotte, North Carolina, to put in up to 15 of these kiosks on public rights-of-way around town. It'll drain millions of dollars of ad revenue out of this market and send it off to Charlotte, North Carolina. As somebody who's in the media market here and depends on ad revenue, well, I just think I'll hold my applause on that one. Ted Suhl, who once operated a very large mental health services company that treated at-risk kids both in institutional settings and outpatient clinics, has appealed to the United States Supreme Court his conviction of bribing a state Department of Human Services official. He said the court improperly let the jury convict him without demonstrating a quid pro quo, that money he gave to a former legislator and DHS official was not given for a specific act, what he said the statute has to prove. It brings to mind the preferred family health care situation. That's the ongoing probe of another massive Medicaid-funded health care services organization that has been implicated in 4 federal convictions of former legislators, and a 5th legislator stands accused of taking bribes from the company as well. The company says it's cleaned up its act. However, it's still receiving millions of dollars in money from Medicaid, including under a reimbursement formula that's a product of some of the bribery alleged in the federal criminal charges. Ted Suhl, I need to remind you, lost his business as soon as a bribery allegation was entered against him 2 years before he was actually convicted. An ironic note in the criminal news today, the father of Asen King, the 3-year-old child who was accidentally killed by a gunshot in a drive-by road rage incident. His father was arrested yesterday on an unrelated murder charge. He was booked into the county jail wearing a Victory Against Overviolence t-shirt, a sad note. Bret Bielema, the fired Razorback football coach, made a little money on his house. It was reported this morning that he sold his house in Fayetteville for $1.8 million, a $300,000 profit over when he bought it a few years back when things were looking better for him here. We lost a great public servant yesterday, Don Zimmerman, director of the Arkansas Municipal League for some 50 years, died yesterday at the age of 75. He headed a effective lobby for the cities and towns in Arkansas that managed to show a progressive side at times in a state that's not often known for that. He'll be missed. And finally, the biggest news of the weekend is where Sarah Huckabee Sanders, that is, ate dinner. She was disinvited from a restaurant in Lexington, Virginia over the weekend. People just had moral objections to serving her. You remember that Sanders thinks it's fine for people to have moral objections to serving gay people and others. I tend to side a little bit on the side of civility, to let all people, all comers, eat at your restaurants, but you can understand why people who've been the subject of her attacks might feel otherwise. She also said, in using her official pulpit to go after this restaurant, as the president himself did, that she's always treated people kindly and with respect. Well, I think videotapes of press briefings show that's perhaps a stretch of the truth. I'm Max Brantley. I'm resisting. Hope you do too. I'll be back tomorrow.